This is one of the most chaotic games I've played recently, and on some cases it's almost led me to murder children, which kind of makes sense when you realise that it's a game all about succession. This is Take the Throne, a card game for 3 to 5 players where one player plays as the monarch and the other players play as one of the noble houses. The concept of the game from here is very simple. If you're the monarch, your goal is to keep the throne. If you're one of the noble houses, your goal is to take the throne. Taking the throne earns you victory points. Maintaining control of the throne earns you victory points. Have at least 8 victory points and control of the throne at the end of any given round, and you win the game. Gameplay is also incredibly simple on the surface. All of the noble houses have the exact same deck of cards at their disposal, with each card specifically suited to either hinder their fellow noble actions or directly attack the monarch. The monarch has their own deck of cards and has one more card at their disposal than the noble houses, which makes sense since they're ruling the kingdom. Each turn, players simultaneously select one card from their hand and place it face down on the table. Then, starting with the monarch, all players reveal their chosen card and resolve its effects. Once you play a card, it's then spent and it goes into your discard pile. Once the crown changes hands, cards in the discard pile will return to your hand. So there is a tactical element when you're playing of choosing at what point do you want to play which card, because you might need it in 2 turns' time, but you also need to stop another player from doing something now. And the cards do a number of really fun and interesting things within the bounds of the gameplay of Take the Throne. You can be really ballsy as the monarch and play the abdicate card, meaning you give up the throne to receive 1 victory point. If none of the noble house players manage to take the throne that round, you get the throne back, meaning you get another victory point. If you're a noble house player, you can play a charge card to contend the throne and take it. The thing is though, if more than one player plays a charge card, they cancel each other out. Or you could play a sabotage card, which means you get to force another player to swap their player card, and if the monarch keeps the throne this turn, you get 1 victory point for helping them. So there are sneaky ways to earn victory points even if you aren't the one taking or retaining the throne. The point where this game really comes into its own though is the interaction between players. What John Lannon, the designer of the game, has done has been to provide us as players with an incredibly simple framework, which then we complicate and make incredibly chaotic through our interactions with each other. You see, during that phase where we're all choosing what cards to play, I could be a noble and I could say to my fellow nobles, oh hey, listen, I'm not going to play a charge card this turn. Or I could try and turn some of the other nobles against one another in order to carve a path for my card to win out. Or, just for clarity, so you don't think I'm legitimately trying to murder children, the games where I was playing this, I was playing with Ben, who we will have on the channel here, and his kids. And his kids were so sneaky and using emotional manipulation to make their parents side with them. And you're just like, oh my goodness, how do I take down these kids? There were a lot of thoughts I wasn't proud of, if I'm honest with you. I've been playing this game at the 5-player mark and it's incredibly chaotic in the best way. There's been shouting and screaming at one another. There's been betrayal as one of the noble players tries to curry favour with the monarch and we all turn on them. That was one of the kids currying favour with their mother. It was actually like a Game of Thrones level storyline that we ended up having in that game. It was pretty brutal, but at that player count, what I found is that there was less strategy, a more social party game, and a little bit of blind luck. I didn't manage to get a game in with a lower player count, like 3 players, but as someone who has played about 15 sessions of this, I can assume with some degree of certainty that tactics and strategy would come into play to a much higher degree when you have a lower player count. On the surface, it's very easy to look at Take the Throne and the fact you all get the same cards and just kind of think, oh, is this it? It kind of seems a bit simple. And in the nicest way, I want to say that you're wrong. When I first played this game, I thought that exact same thing, and I took some time to think about other cards that could be added to the game to make it a bit more expansive or add some mechanic that I thought was missing, and I couldn't. Or more specifically, I couldn't think of anything that could be added that wouldn't completely break the game or the other mechanics that already exist. Take the Throne may seem simplistic, but it is, in my opinion, quite watertight when it comes to the balance of the cards. This is one of those games that is small enough that you can take it anywhere. It's fast enough that you can play quite a few rounds at the start of game night, and it's accessible enough that you could teach it to anyone. Take the Throne gets a recommendation from me, and I think it deserves a look in from you too. You can find the game on GameFound right now, and you can follow the campaign to be notified of when it launches, depending on when you're watching this video. As always though, this is just my recommendation, but hopefully you feel a bit more informed. If you have found it helpful, I'd love if you could subscribe. I'm a small channel trying to cover the games I think you're interested in, and your support really does help.